Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Gerhardt Konig. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Gerhardt Konig was born in the late 1970s and lived in the state of California. He earned a bachelor's degree in bioengineering and biomedical engineering from the University of California, San Diego. After this, he moved to Pennsylvania and earned a medical degree from the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. Starting in 2016, Gerhardt worked as a staff anesthesiologist at the school's medical center. A year later, he started working as an assistant professor in the School of Medicine. By this point, Gerhardt was married to a woman named Jessica. In the early to mid-2000s, they had 2 children. In October 2014, Jessica filed for divorce. At the time of this divorce, Gerhardt was making over $255,000 a year. On September 4, 2018, Gerhardt married a woman named Ariel. She was 10 years younger than him. Ariel had earned a bachelor's degree in nuclear engineering and a master's degree in business administration. She worked for an electric company. The couple lived in a 4,300 square foot 6-bedroom house on Roycroft Avenue in Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania. This is just south of Pittsburgh. The couple went on to have 2 sons, Olwen and Vigo. In September 2022, Ariel started a new job. She worked from home as a project manager for a nuclear innovation company based in Bellevue, Washington. At some point, perhaps around the same time, Gerhardt accepted a job in Hawaii working for an anesthesia practice, which had contracts with various hospitals. In November 2022, Gerhardt and his wife sold their house in Mount Lebanon for $1.3 million. In December of that same year, they purchased a $1.5 million 5-bedroom house in Kahului. This is the largest town on the island of Maui. In March 2023, the family moved to Maui and Gerhardt started his new job. The couple appeared to get along with their neighbors. For example, they would occasionally host whiskey nights at their home. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On Monday, March 24, 2025, at 10:38 a.m., 2 hikers named Amanda and Sarah called 911 from the Pali-Puka Trail on the island of Oahu. They had stumbled upon Ariel while she was being attacked by Gerhardt. When the police arrived, they found that Ariel had been injured. Several people, including Amanda and Sarah, had assisted Ariel until emergency responders arrived. Here is what Ariel told investigators. These are only allegations. This is Ariel's side of the story. In December 2024, her husband Gerhardt accused her of having an affair, and he was extremely jealous. Since that time, he tried to monitor and control all her communication. They went to couples therapy, presumably to improve their relationship. Gerhardt suggested to Ariel that they take a getaway to the island of Oahu. On March 24, 2025, which was Ariel's 36th birthday, she and her 46-year-old husband flew to Oahu from their home in Maui. Their 2 sons stayed at the family house with a nanny. Gerhardt suggested that they go on the Pali-Puka Trail. This popular attraction features breathtaking ocean and mountain views. During the hike, Ariel became uneasy and told her husband she did not want to continue. However, they kept going. At around 10:30 a.m., Gerhardt suggested that they take a picture near the edge of the cliff at the Pali Lookout area. There is a 300-foot drop at this location. After they took the picture, Ariel asked Gerhardt to back up so she could move away from the edge. She was feeling dizzy, presumably due to the height. Gerhardt grabbed her arms and pushed her back, saying, "Get back over here. I'm so blanking sick of you." Initially, Ariel thought that Gerhardt was kidding. Then she realized that her husband was trying to push her over the edge of the cliff. Ariel threw herself to the ground. Gerhardt responded by pushing her into bushes, and they physically fought each other. She saw her husband produce 2 syringes from a bag. He tried to inject her with an unknown substance using both syringes. Ariel managed to grab a syringe and throw it away as Gerhardt rifled through his bag for what Ariel suspected to be another syringe. At this point, she bit his forearm. Gerhardt appeared to calm down, but the attack was not over. He picked up a nearby rock and struck Ariel in the head about 10 times. Her left thumb was broken during this attack. He also grabbed her hair on the back of her head and smashed her face into the ground. Ariel screamed and pleaded with her husband to stop, asking him to think about their children. It was at this moment that the two hikers, Amanda and Sarah, stumbled onto the scene. They could see Gerhardt on top of Ariel, beating her with a rock. Ariel said, "He is trying to kill me. He is hitting me in the head with a rock." The women said they were going to call 911. As Ariel crawled toward the hikers, Gerhardt fled in the other direction. As I mentioned, the women called 911 at 10:38 a.m. Ariel was transported to a hospital. Presumably, she was treated and released because her attorney would later say that she was recovering at home. At 6:45 p.m., Gerhardt Konig was arrested after a brief foot chase near the Pauli Highway. He was charged with second-degree attempted murder. At the time I'm making this video, Gerhardt has retained attorneys and is being held on a $5 million bond. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Even though Gerhardt maintains the presumption of innocence, his prospects of being found not guilty are not promising. There is plenty of evidence against him. For example, his wife was injured. She claimed that he attacked her, and 2 hikers witnessed part of this attack. Furthermore, after the attack, Gerhardt allegedly made a video call to his adult son from his first marriage. Gerhardt told him, quote, "I just tried to kill Ari, but she got away," unquote. Not only does it appear as though Gerhardt is guilty, one could make a good argument that the attempted murder was premeditated. For example, he was carrying syringes and allegedly tried to inject Ariel. What was he doing with those syringes? It seems unusual to take syringes on a scenic hike. Some people wonder why Gerhardt was charged with second-degree attempted murder instead of first-degree attempted murder. Does this indicate that the state of Hawaii is not confident they can prove premeditation? As it turns out, in the state of Hawaii, premeditation is not an element of first-degree murder or second-degree murder. First-degree murder only applies in limited cases, such as killing a judge, a witness, a police officer, or multiple people. For a person to be guilty of second-degree murder, the killing must be intentional or knowing. Premeditation is not required. It is not an element of that crime. The same rule applies to the corresponding attempted murder charges. Premeditation could certainly be a factor at sentencing, but not during the guilt phase. Item number 2. A woman who owns a cleaning business and cleaned for the Konig family told the media that there were no signs this attack was coming. In the house, she only observed love and laughter. Gerhardt was a doting father who was attentive to his wife Ariel. The business owner indicated that she never felt uneasy around Gerhardt, and she did not understand what was going through his mind or why this happened. Item number 3. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. At the time I'm making this video, there is very little information about Gerhardt's possible motive. The only significant clue is Ariel's claim that Gerhardt was jealous and accused her of cheating. Perhaps this is the only motive that Gerhardt required. However, his reaction seems pretty extreme. Also, he first made this accusation in December 2024, and the alleged attempted murder happened in March 2025. This means he ramped up from jealous to homicidal in just 3 months. That's pretty fast. Most people who transition from jealousy to homicide take more time than that. There was one report in the media indicating that Gerhardt sustained a head injury in September 2019. It may have nothing to do with Gerhardt allegedly attempting to commit murder, but it's worth mentioning. Gerhardt sued a contractor after he allegedly sustained a concussion while installing a window. He said the workers asked for his assistance to install a window on the second floor of his house. He was on a cherry picker guiding the window when the bucket suddenly moved, pinning his head against the house. It's possible that Gerhardt was exaggerating his injuries for the lawsuit. There's no way to know what actually happened. The parties settled out of court. Even if he did sustain a concussion, as he stated, it is not a likely explanation for attempted murder. Another possibility is that Gerhardt had some type of mental health breakdown, perhaps one that explains the cheating accusation. Maybe he became paranoid and/or delusional. There is no evidence at this time supporting that theory other than the attempted murder part. It is quite strange that a man who appeared to have his life together would attack his wife out of nowhere if no mental health factors were involved. Gerhardt was financially successful, had a great career, had a family, lived in a beautiful house. Everything appeared to be going his way. There are only a few good explanations consistent with going off the rails so dramatically and so quickly. A mental health episode is one of them, but not the only one. Perhaps Gerhardt simply wanted to kill his wife, and it had nothing to do with mental health symptoms. His motive could have been based on jealousy, money, or other factors. Maybe he believed he could convince people that Ariel fell off a cliff by accident, like this was some master murder plan. He took the syringes in case his primary plan did not succeed. It is reasonable to believe there's a lot more to the story. As the case proceeds to trial, maybe new information will shed some light on a possible motive. As far as the lesson learned in this case, I'm not sure there is one. Most professionals are not at a high risk to push their wives off a cliff, beat them with a rock, or inject them using a syringe. Accusations of infidelity are pretty common in romantic relationships. Most of them don't lead to murder or attempted murder. Based on the information that is public now, Ariel probably could not have predicted this bizarre outcome. There is no way to know that Gerhardt wanted to take the relationship to a whole new level, or, more accurately, a whole new elevation. Those are my thoughts in the case of Gerhardt Konig. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.